In this video, I'm going to show you how to make 4 different types of French pastries. And the first thing I'm going to do is mix some tan clay with translucent. And I also used a piece of gold steel that was really thin that I got from Hobby Lobby to just add accents. And so the first thing I'm going to make are little cream puffs, and you just want to basically roll out little balls of the same dough color that's really light and add texture all around it, kind of like it's cracking like real cream puffs would do. And the top ones are the top of the cream puffs, and the bottom are going to be the bottom of it. And so now I'm just going to add chalk to make it look like it's been baked. And I'm using yellow and light brown chalk. And now I'm just going to flip the bottom ones over so I can add some silicone. What this is going to look like the cream filling. And I'm using a squeeze bottle of silicone that I got from Home Depot for about $3. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit to each cream puff. And all I did was add some to the bottom, and then I closed the top on top of it so it would have a top and a bottom and the cream filling in between, just like this. And here I'm just going to add some dark brown acrylic paint to the top to look like a chocolate drizzled sauce. And it's going to dry shiny so it'll look really realistic, and you don't even have to mix liquid clay with paint or anything like that. You can just use the paint and let it dry. After you bake it, you want to put the paint on after you actually bake the cream puffs. And you also want to use the silicone after you bake the cream puffs. So just make sure you have the cream puffs baked before you add any silicone or paint to the top. And here I'm just stacking them together so they can look like a little stack of them basically. It just looks a lot neater in the presentation, and it kind of looks realistic. So I'm putting that on the little gold steel plate that I got, and I just cut it out. And the next pastry that I made is basically 2 cream puffs stacked on top of each other, and one is smaller and one is larger, and the larger one's on the bottom. So I'm just going to texture the edge to look like it's been baked and separated, and I also added chalk. And then I'm going to add some chocolate sauce or acrylic paint that's dark brown to the top of the larger one, and then I'm going to stack the smaller one on top. And I also added a little pin in between the two so that they stay together and they don't slide around, and that'll just secure it. And this is what it looks like so far. Then I added a little bit more of the dark brown paint to cover up the pin, and now I'm just going to add it's going to look like drizzles of frosting, but it's just clay around the edges. And now I'm going to make a Saint Honoré cake, which is like a French cake, and it has little cream puffs all around it. And this one's going to be really small, so it's just going to have 3 cream puffs on top. And the first thing I'm making is the base, and now I'm just pushing out some whipped cream or soft white clay out of a number 14 star tip, and I'm just going to add it to the base of the little cake. And the base is really thin, and so you just want to add it to the bottom and press it down. You can use a toothpick or a needle tool. And now I'm just going to texture the little cream puffs and add them all around the cake, and I'm only using 3 of them. And once you add the last one, this is what it should look like so far. And now I'm just going to add a little bit more of the same frosting or whipped cream to the top, and you want to add it in between the cream puffs and then like a drizzle or swirl on top of it. And you want to be really careful so that it doesn't get smushed. And now I'm just going to add a little strawberry to the top, and it's basically just a piece of red clay that I textured. And you can use a little bit of acrylic paint or liquid clay to secure it. And the last thing I'm going to make is a croquembouche, and it means crunch in mouth in French, and basically it's just like cream or like puff pastry balls, I guess, and it's made with a choux pastry. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to get into much detail, but basically it's like a cone of little puff pastries that are really crunchy. And so I'm going to take a scrap piece of clay and make it into a cone, And then I'm going to add all the little puff pastries all around it. And I'm going to use a little piece of wire to secure each one so they don't fall off. And this is what I'm just taking like a head pin and cutting it down really small, and then adding each one individually just like that. And then you can add a little bit more texture with the same head pin or a needle tool. And this is what it looks like all assembled. And it's usually really shiny because it's covered in like a sugar glaze. So I'm adding some gloss to the outside of it. And this is what all 4 of them look like together. So have fun and make your own.